bringing you the essence of global literature through faithful value transmission. Hi, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're exploring the book Less Than I, The Death and Life of Great American Cities. This classic in urban planning examines the relationship between city design and community life. Let's start with some questions. Why do some lavishly funded developments become ghost towns, while older neighborhoods often transform into thriving commercial districts? Which urban areas maintain stable foot traffic and business viability? You'll find answers through this book's insights. First, let's understand the author's background. Jane Jacobs, born in 1916, witnessed America's first urban boom, shaping cities like New York and Chicago. These gleaming modern cities also spawned slums and crime-ridden areas during their growth. As editor at Less Than Sign, I Greater Than Sign architectural form, she gained professional perspective on urban structures. This position enabled her critical examination of megacities. She challenged conventional planning doctrines and proposed innovative solutions. We'll follow her analytical framework to unpack the book's core ideas. What defined traditional urban planning philosophy? In essence, go big or go home. How did this mentality emerge? Let's examine America's urban construction boom. Post-WW1 America, wielding unmatched industrial might, pursued monumental construction projects. The scale, equivalent to demolishing and rebuilding entire cities, an unprecedented urban overhaul. What drove this massive reconstruction? We must consider the historical context. Though WW1 didn't reach American soil, its ripple effects led to the Great Depression within 13 years post-war. The Great Depression left countless people unemployed. At that time, the construction industry became the biggest employment absorber. Thus, the U.S. government launched massive infrastructure projects to ease unemployment. European architects seized this historic opportunity to shape American cities. Modernism dominated European architectural philosophy, but modernist architecture prioritized industrial showcase over human needs, favoring skyscrapers. This philosophy spawned numerous megastructures in America, like the iconic Empire State Building, featured in Hollywood films, completed in 1931, standing at 443.7 meters. How to comprehend this scale? A typical 30-story residential building measures about 80 meters. The Empire State equals 5.5 such buildings, stacked vertically. Modernist architecture remained broadly conceptual. Individual architects developed nuanced interpretations of these principles. Two dominant theories emerged among European architects, both criticized by Jacobs. First, Le Corbusier's radiant city concept. This theory prioritized aesthetic uniformity and sunlight exposure through isolated buildings, achieved by spacing structures with green belts for maximum sunlight penetration. Each building should function as self-contained microsociety, eliminating need for interaction with surrounding urban fabric. This theory appeared utopian on surface, but critically overlooked fundamental human nature. Humans are social creatures requiring interaction. People can't thrive in isolated architectural monoliths. Such planning created urban islands lacking connectivity. Without inter-building connections, commercial ecosystems couldn't develop. Over time, both the buildings and surrounding neighborhoods deteriorate. The second theory Jacobs criticizes is Ebenezer Howard's Garden City concept. This theory advocates dividing cities into distinct functional zones, separating commercial, residential, and recreational areas with expansive green belts, envisioning cities as giant gardens interspersed with structures, requiring skyscrapers to maximize population density while preserving green space. Admittedly, this concept held some merit, but Howard never anticipated megacities with populations exceeding 5 million. His model suggested 30,000 residents per zone, requiring 200-plus zones for modern cities. Combined with massive central parks, this demanded unrealistic urban footprints. This zoning created imbalanced development between districts. Some areas became hyper-expensive capitalist meccas like Wall Street, while others deteriorated into havens for homelessness and crime. Both Radiant City and Garden City theories profoundly shaped and damaged American urbanism. By Jacob's time, glittering exteriors concealed inner city slums and crime districts. Batman's Gotham, 1939, drew inspiration from New York's decaying neighborhoods. Jacobs harshly criticized architects for designing cities as artworks rather than living systems, treating humans not as social beings but architectural ornaments, canaries in urban cages. This humanity deficient philosophy naturally produced cold urban environments. So, what truly defines a city? Jacobs proposes cities are shaped by people, more precisely, by human movement. She argues a city's essence lies not in production, but in circulation. Urban mobility generates vibrant social interactions and economic activities. Without this flow, cities become stagnant pools of inertia. Urban planning should optimize human movement to create value. Architecture and streets should serve this fundamental purpose. But what constitutes effective urban circulation? This brings us to our next discussion point. Architecture should attract human activity. Streets should guide and channel movement. Let's first examine buildings. What do they represent to you? Answers vary: home, workplace, shopping center, but all share common ground. These responses ultimately converge on three words: final destination. Every building you enter serves at least one purpose. How should we design these purpose-driven spaces for urban vitality? Jacobs proposes two essential criteria. First, buildings must serve multiple primary functions. Example, complement office towers with entertainment venues like theaters. The benefits are clear. Daytime workers and nighttime revelers maintain constant foot traffic. Second, users across different times should share comparable economic profiles. Mismatched facilities, like luxury malls near factories, create dysfunction. Low-income workers can't sustain luxury malls, creating a death spiral of declining foot traffic and business closures. Jacobs cites New York's 57th Street as successful urban planning case. Originally an unremarkable residential area, its transformation began with Carnegie Hall's construction in 1891. The music hall became an instant cultural magnet, attracting musicians and music schools that spawned support businesses. Music students and performers drove demand for rental apartments. Recording studios and music schools attracted ancillary services. Capitalists later added cinemas to enhance the area's appeal. The restaurants and cafes quickly filled the thriving neighborhood. This evolution validated Jacobs' core urban principles. Cities thrive through human flow. Buildings merely channel this energy. How does this differ from Garden City's functional zones? The distinction is crucial. Garden City isolates zones with green buffers. Jacobs advocates connectivity. Howard's model clusters similar demographics in self-contained enclaves. Jacobs counters with open systems, promoting organic interaction. This neighborhood serves not just locals, but attracts citywide and regional visitors. Instead of empty green spaces, it's connected through transportation networks, enabling seamless inflow of visitors and outflow of residents. Jacobs proposes two crucial street design principles in her work. First, commercial streets should be short with frequent intersections to encourage foot traffic mixing. She critiques Manhattan's West 84th Street as negative example. 800 feet, 244 meters long, with only north-south access points, no cross streets connecting to adjacent neighborhoods, requiring full-length walks to access nearby businesses, resulting in deserted storefronts and urban isolation. Short streets naturally foster commercial diversity. Cross-connected lanes would enable organic neighborhood integration, but streets are safer with fewer people, some might argue. On the contrary, limited flow breeds insecurity and disorder. Introducing the second principle, the safety paradox. Security isn't just police presence or municipal management. Reactive measures can't replace preventive urban design. Jacobs argues constant pedestrian flow ensures natural surveillance. Essentially, multiple observers monitoring public spaces continuously. creating communal safety through collective awareness and intervention capacity. Just creates a 360-degree surveillance and security system. It aligns with our lived experience. Walking through busy streets with open stores feels secure even when alone. But deserted streets feel threatening regardless of company. True safety comes from human flow, not surveillance cameras. Uh, People create both diversity and security. Well-designed districts with mixed functions and walkable streets naturally thrive. Observe your city through this urban design lens. Such areas make ideal locations for new businesses, but even well-planned cities face decline risks. Two main factors cause urban decay. First, excessive replication and imitation. Success breeds cutthroat competition in thriving districts. Unchecked rivalry accelerates neighborhood decline, the worst form being homogeneous replication. What defines excessive replication? Districts becoming single-purpose zones like tech hubs or financial centers. Initially vibrant mixed-use areas gradually transform. Successful businesses attract copycat competitors. Clustering similar firms leads to talent cannibalization. Homogenization reduces neighborhood vitality through singular usage patterns. Jacobs provides concrete case studies illustrating this decline. Manhattan is a narrow island divided into upper, midtown, and downtown districts. Our story unfolds in lower Manhattan. Wall Street's rise transformed it into the global economic bellwether. Top financial and legal talent flocked here seeking proximity to economic power. Financial institutions and Fortune 500 companies clustered nearby, making this area the world's most expensive real estate market. Small businesses like cafes couldn't afford skyrocketing rents. Forced to relocate from the financial district, mid-sized firms also got priced out by corporate giants. Over decades, Lower Manhattan became elite enclave housing 400,000 professionals. Why did this population fail to create neighborhood diversity? They shared identical profiles, white-collar workers with synchronized routines. A mass exodus every evening left streets deserted after 7 p.m. Only 2 daily hours of lunchtime economic activity remained. Evening desolation stifled entertainment and service industries. By the 1950s, basic amenities like cinemas had disappeared. The last surviving hardware store eventually succumbed to rent hikes. City government attempted residential zoning to revive vitality. But residential zones couldn't offset massive commercial footprints. Nearly 20,000 residents proved insufficient for diversity. Lower Manhattan's decline worsened through the 1950s. Is there any solution to this urban crisis? Jacobs suggests tourism as potential salvation from real estate inflation. Why not leverage iconic skyscrapers for tourism? Requires balancing corporate interests with public infrastructure development. Challenges include corporate social responsibility commitments and tax incentives. This complex coordination defines municipal governance responsibilities. History proved Jacobs right. Tourism became Lower Manhattan's economic lifeline. Global visitors now flood landmarks like Times Square daily. Diversified attractions, Broadway theaters, Chinatown, nightlife venues. Evening jazz concerts maintain nighttime foot traffic. Manhattan's revival demonstrates city's cyclical nature through human flow dynamics. Second decline factor, border vacuums. What are border vacuums? Unused transitional spaces between urban districts. Even well-designed neighborhoods have connective gaps. Dense populations mask this issue through organic space utilization. America's urban blocks often connect via high-speed thoroughfares rather than direct adjacency. These car-dominated roads become perceived danger zones, lacking commercial activity. At night, they transform into deserted no-man's lands. Gang territories often emerge in these voids, threatening neighboring communities. 1950s to 60s, gang problems became urban epidemics, as depicted in Hollywood films. Jacobs urges minimizing such urban voids through planning. When unavoidable, install public institutions to maintain activity. Libraries or museums can anchor these transitional spaces. This concludes our exploration of the book's core concepts. Recall our opening questions about urban vitality. Ultimately, why do cities thrive or decline? The answer lies in Jacobs's central thesis. Human-centric design determines urban success. Cities flourish when prioritizing people, wither when ignoring human needs. This philosophy now underpins modern urban planning. Pre-Jacobs planning resembled abstract architectural puzzles. Post-Jacobs planning focuses on human habitat creation. Thus concludes our journey through Less Than Sign, the death and life of great American cities. Find reading notes below. Join us next time for another literary exploration.